Hey guys, welcome to another one synth challenge where I'm going to try to make a song using only one synthesizer. In this one, I'm going to be using a software synth instead of a hardware synth. I'm going to be using the Plogue Chipsynth MD. So maybe let's go browse through the drums and let's make a little drum kit. So let's see what we have here. There's a 909 kick. All right, so this is cool. It's like a little drum kit. So let's see what we have. All right, let's just try it out. All right, I'm just gonna go over here, quantize. All right, so I'm just gonna click here, Command D to duplicate it, remove the old MIDI, and this time let's switch over and let's explore some of the basses. So I'm trying to kind of get into a mental space. I'm trying to picture like SNES/Sega Genesis games. This is like a nice bass or house bass. Yeah, I might go back and change this drum groove into more of like a house techno type of vibe. Let me overdub another snare. And now maybe add like a swing later. MPC swing 64. That sounds pretty good. So let me duplicate this again and maybe we'll go back and switch this to that 909. Oh, let's see what else is here. Maybe let's browse through these first. Maybe I'll duplicate this kick to give us a bit of a punch. So now we go back to our house bass. This is getting a little loud, so let me lower the volume. You can probably tell that I don't typically make electronic music because this groove is not really gelling. And I think it's because my open hi-hat probably needs to be on every beat. This one, so yeah, I think this needs to be like that kind of groove. Yeah, maybe like that. So let me get rid of these. Yeah, that's already grooving much better. I just need a punchier snare drum. So let me duplicate this again. So we're up to 4 instances of this white noise. Okay, so we have a bunch of snares. Let's go through them. This one's nice and it's actually tuned to the C, so it's actually gonna... Oh, I just realized I have reverb on everything, even the drums and the bass. All right, so let's get rid of all that reverb and let's listen to dry. All right, that's already working a little better. Let's maybe look for a pad or a lead or something a little brighter and more melodic. Let's look at the keys. Whoa, this is some cheesy DX7. Actually, organ's pretty common in house music, right? It's a little too churchish. Oh, maybe this one. Yeah, I'm not crazy about this sound anymore. Let's keep going. Not it. Maybe that works. And then let's do the typical trick. I'm gonna add a sidechain compressor. So we open compressor, turn on sidechaining, and I just realized I don't have a dedicated kick. But this kick will be silent. So I'm gonna mute it here. And if we go here, I can find my sidechain kick and then we can tweak it about and see what's going on. And now it's important to listen in the context of the drums so that we can see if it kind of grooves well. Actually, what am I doing? I just realized I have a kick here. Yeah, so I can get rid of this sidechain kick and this one's good enough. So now if we bring it all together, we're gonna have a nice kind of pulsating organ. Actually, it's probably pulsing too much. Let me increase the threshold. The key is to make it subtle. Let's maybe add a lead so we have some kind of melody going. Man, this synth really has amazing presets. Everyone is very musical. Except that one. This might sound good on its own, but you want to make sure it gels with the song. Typically for melodies, what I like to do is just listen to it and then try to hear a melody in my head. I find that those melodies usually translate better. So I'm hearing like a dee da da. And then maybe just to spice things up, well, actually, let's see if we can add a subtle pad in the background. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna steal that same compressor we had and just paste it in here so we get the same kind of pulsing. Let's listen. Bring everything together, we should get more of like that pulsing. Maybe we can double up the leads. This is what I'm thinking right now. Maybe this is a little too trancey, but let's see. So I'm just gonna copy the MIDI I had and see if this works with this patch doubled up. I think that note needs to be a little shorter. Yeah, that kind of works. All right, so I'm just gonna leave it there, and now I'm just gonna do a quick sort of EQ mixing, because a lot of you guys asked me how I do my EQ mastering and all that. So I'm just gonna do a very quick rough job here because this is not a full song. Typically I add an EQ8 to basically everything, maybe except the drums. And then I'm just kind of solo and listen to each one and kind of visually and with my ears try to eliminate any of the unnecessary frequencies, especially for these kind of bright lead patches. There's no reason to have all that low. So that's basically it, and I'll just copy it here. So again, this pad doesn't need to have, you can see here visually that like the main frequencies are in this general area. So I'm just kind of low cutting a bunch of these. Bass, obviously we want the bass frequencies, but I would still cut a little bit because especially if you have a kick, if you want the kick to kind of stand out. And then what I do is I'd switch over to my session view just so that I can see the mixer a little better. And then just kind of play it by ear. Normally in this case, I'd lower the volume and I'd start mixing at a very low volume just to not trick my ears into anything. And then I'm kind of bring up the rhythm section first. So I would just play it back, kind of sit back, and maybe we'll bring up the drums first. And at the beginning, I'm just looking for like a roughly sort of minus 12 dB area, because by the time I'm done bringing everything up, I want to make sure that the sum of everything doesn't add up and clip. So in this case, it's okay just to have, and bring up the kick. And I'm literally just using my ears. I'm kind of sitting back and seeing if things sound pleasant. I'm by no means a mixing engineer or anything. I just do what sounds good enough for me and I call it a day. And in this case, I may start panning things left and right just to create more interest. So like this organ thing, I might shift it to the right. And then let's see what the next one is. So this is the melody, so I want that to stand out a little bit. Keep that in the center. So this other pad, I'm gonna pan it left so that the two pads are kind of left and right. Just a little, very subtle. And then I'm not gonna do it here, but typically when I quote unquote master, and I wouldn't consider it like pro mastering or anything, but normally what I do is I just export my track as a mix, and then I open a separate project in Ableton Live. And then in that project, I'll just demonstrate what in this project, but typically I do it in a separate one. I open the wide and warm master, which is just an effects chain, which has EQ, compressor, and a limiter. Very simple stuff. To kind of reset the parameters a little bit, and then I'll usually find the most kind of intense part, usually the chorus. In this case, it's just a loop, so it doesn't count, but normally find the chorus, and then make sure there's a bit of gain reduction, but not too much, just to make sure that as I'm bringing things up, I don't want to squash the dynamics too much, but you need to kind of bring down some of the higher dynamics if you want to overall bring up the volume of the song. Again, I'm not an electronic music artist, so there's probably lots of other things you want to do to make this kind of punch harder and make it more club ready. I typically do kind of softer rock, singer-songwriter type of stuff, so it's a completely different ball game. It's kind of a bit of a slower. I'm at 126, and obviously the cool thing about having everything in MIDI is that you can easily just bump this up and can go to 140 and see, you get more of a trancey thing, I guess. I feel like my kick is a little weak here, so I'm gonna add a drum bus, which I forgot to mention is usually what I add to my drum. And this is nice boom feature, so you can kind of cheat almost and create a sub-ear kick this way. So yeah, it started off as trying to do like a video game thing, and then it turned into like a house thing, and now it's more of like a sort of hyper trance thing. Let's exaggerate, let's go 170 and see how crazy it gets. All right, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next.